right, so ladies and gentlemen, we gotta talk about this new NBC poll because it's pretty devastating for the Democrats' potential 2028 frontrunners, right? Right now, there are two names at the top: Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom. And let's be honest, Gavin Newsom, he's currently in campaign mode as we speak, clearly running already. The media appearances, the messaging, the national spotlight, it's all pointing towards him gearing up, basically saying, I'm running for president in 2028. Mind you, he's literally still the governor of California, and California is not really looking that great. Kamala, on the other hand, is doing the usual, political dance, staying visible while at the same time making statements, while at the same time acting like a candidate, while at the same time saying that she hasn't really decided that she's going to run, right? But when you look at the numbers from this new NBC poll, Democrats have a serious problem. And so let's break it all down. As always, if you enjoy the content, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know to stay locked in with the future videos. Subscribe to the channel and make sure that you have all turned off for your notifications. That way you never miss when I drop. Let's get right into it.
What else have they done? The SAVE Act. You know what the SAVE Act would do? Require that people show a birth certificate or a passport to register to vote. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's something like 40% of Americans don't have those documents. Married women, if you changed your name when you got married, it's going to be different than what's on your birth certificate, right? And what that's going to do in terms of complicating the ability of women to register to vote. And so this is happening in real time to suppress and obstruct the ability of people to vote. And then my concern, frankly, Aaron, is that when we saw what happened in Minneapolis, I think we need to really understand that in addition to everything that was obvious about it, it might have been basically a demonstration and a beta testing of militarizing the streets of America to intimidate people against voting and using federal officials to intimidate people to not vote.
Will you run again?
I haven't decided.
You're still thinking about it?
I might.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I closed the book and I'm like, oh, she wants to. She's just thinking about it. If that was my impression. I don't know if that's what you intended, but that was my impression.
No, the book is about a specific period in time. There was no agenda beyond what we've discussed already, which is just sharing with people, the reality of the experience and hopefully allowing people to see something of themselves.
Now, the only reason why she sounds like a viable candidate is because the level of competition right now in the Democrat Party, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, when the level of competition that you're lining up against is Gavin Newsom, it's safe to say that the bar is not set that high, really. Okay, I think we don't have any issues with saying that he's literally running California into the ground as we speak, where people and businesses are fleeing for other states because of his poor policies. Oh, and the fraud that's getting exposed that happened that he allowed to run wild. So here's more on the other candidate, Newsom. Check it out.
We have done many, many actions to mitigate that price rise. You saw the announcement of a coordinated release of 400 million barrels of oil, with over 30 nations of the world participating in that. We've had allies in the Middle East that moved oil overseas before the conflict started. Heck, we just announced yesterday bringing on a meaningful amount of oil production in the state of California from offshore, that California has fought foolishly to prevent new American oil to go into their own state. And we said enough is enough, and we've got new oil production coming on in California. So lots of actions we're taking to mitigate this price rise.
Well, it's just like Gavin Newsom, he fixed the homelessness problem many years ago. He kept announcing that he's fixed it while the problem gets worse. I mean, this guy's a total disgrace, Gavin Newsom. If it's been fixed, then why is the money still going out? He says it was fixed in 2021. Those payments were from 2024.
Right.
He's just lying and gaslighting as he is on every single issue. And the truth is that California has got more fraud than the rest of America put together. And Dr. Oz is absolutely right. We need cooperation with the federal government. When I'm governor, that's what we'll get. In the meantime, I mean, we're trying to find it as well. My organization, Cal Doge, part of my campaign, we estimate now that the total fraud in the last 5 years in California, $434 billion. And what are they doing about it? Nothing, because they have total contempt for taxpayers. They don't consider it that it's our money that they're stealing and wasting, and that is why they're going to lose this year.
They got caught. Here's the vice.
Now, I know hearing all of that, anybody with an ounce of logic into common sense will say, who would vote for this guy? Who would actually put their support behind someone like a Gavin Newsom? Just to show that I'm not making this stuff up, check this out. Here's a warm welcome Governor Gavin Newsom received in Texas, of all places, if you can believe it or not. I mean, just check it out. These are your two front runners for Democrats, which would explain, I mean, it explains it all when it comes to the new brutal poll, this devastating poll that most of the media, by the way, most of the legacy media has been ignoring because of the harsh reality it's painting and the fact that they much rather push as much negative spin about the president and put it on repeat in their news cycle. We know, I mean, listen, we know how it goes, right? Despite the unpopular press that the president gets, Democrats are even less popular. I mean, they're even less popular than ICE. Check it out.
A little better. Kamala Harris is at -17, Gavin Newsom -18, AOC comparatively popular at -11. It's compared with -11 for JD Vance and -7 for Marco Rubio. Kamala Harris, by the way, is reportedly undecided on whether she's running for president again, but she's definitely keeping her options open. A long profile of her in Politico notes that Harris is taking some steps toward a run, but still won't commit either way. Meanwhile, the desire for Kamala is practically non-existent with the Democratic base. No one is demanding that she be foisted on them again, and her most recent foray into politics was a last-minute endorsement of Jasmine Crockett in the Texas Senate primary. Crockett was decisively beaten by James Tallarico, who is now the Dem nominee. Not a winning tactic for poor Kamala Harris. But even so, Harris got a favorable shout-out from a potential 2028 rival, Gavin Newsom, who wrote on X, "This wouldn't have happened under her watch," her referring to Kamala Harris, and presumably he's talking about the Iran war. And look, it's true that Harris indicated she would have opposed this sort of action, even though the Trump campaign, particularly JD Vance, implied it would be Harris, not Trump, who would take the nation to war with Iran. So much for that. Polls like this one from NBC show that no matter how many questionable policies the Trump administration pursues, no matter how many openings they create for Dems by, let's say, hugely increasing the price of gas, the Democratic Party remains toxically unpopular. Americans don't love everything Trump does. They really don't. But they're really, really not sure they can trust the Dems to govern ever again.
Yeah, so you heard that. And this is the brutal reality for Democrats right now. As much as they bash the president and get a bunch of support from legacy media, even with ICE and all the negative things put out about them, Democrats are still seen as less popular than that, which I believe. I think that says something, ladies and gentlemen. I think that says something. And it might be saying that there are plenty of Americans out there who operate from a place of, common sense. And when a party pretty much wants to see America fail, fund and support illegal aliens, and allow fraud to run wild, people with common sense and logic, they're not going to look to support that. But let's get into this next clip, ladies and gentlemen, where the Democrats get confronted about the branding issue that they have, because it is a branding issue that the Democrats do have, and currently how it's not actually helping the party, it's hurting them. And so let's get into it. Check it out.
Well, let me ask you about some of our latest polling, Congressman. Our latest NBC News poll shows voters are signaling a preference for a Democratic-controlled Congress in 2026. But when it comes to voters' feelings about the Democratic Party overall, the only thing more unpopular in our poll, Congresswoman, was Iran. Does the party have a brand problem, and how do you address it?
Well, I think I think all of us are opposed to this war. I think that what we know is that the majority of Americans don't agree with a regime change war for oil in Iran. Our communities are tired of endless wars. Our communities want Congress to focus on the issues of the day, and that is affordability, accountability, and defending democracy.
Yeah, and so you heard that, and so clearly that's a problem right there when you can't even answer the question. It had nothing to do with whether you agree with the war or not, whether the party agreed with the war. We know how Democrats are going to answer when it comes to that. Shocker. Democrats disagree with the president. Not really breaking news, right? It's about how the only thing that Democrats are more popular than, get this, than the Iran attacks. That's the only thing that Democrats, according to this NBC poll at least, that Americans are at least showing a little bit more favorable interest towards, which is not, that's not good. And let me take myself off the screen for a second so you can see the numbers right here. Negative 53 for the Iran attacks, and with a decent lead, you got the Democrat Party at negative 2022. Let's understand this part also. Vast majority of legacy media obviously is negative. Whenever you look at the numbers as far as how much negative press, how much negative news is spoke about when it comes to the Trump administration on all the legacy media news outlets, it's always really, really high as far as how much negative news he gets versus how much neutral or, dare I say it, positive news he gets. And so the fact that when you look at those numbers and you take that into account also, I mean, Marco Rubio, JD Vance, all hovering around pretty decent. Yeah, it's still, yeah, obviously negative, but not too bad when you add that in. And you got AOC, she's kind of right there in the middle of it, but how much press does AOC get when it comes to the news cycle versus President Trump, versus Rubio, versus Vance? I mean, she doesn't get as much as they do unless she does something or says something that kind of draws more attention to herself. So the fact that she's there, okay, I mean, Trump, I mean, sure, that's not bad position for him to be in right now. The Republican Party as a whole doing pretty good considering, one, they haven't passed the SAVE Act, and that's something that is by and large popular by the majority of Americans. Two, we have a government shutdown we in the middle of, and the Democrat Party has been constantly pushing this narrative that it is Republicans who are causing this shutdown. And so when you add kind of all of these different elements and then variables into the situation, and yet this right now is what's coming back when it comes to popularity, Democrats aren't looking too good because if the war, this Iran attack ends up obviously turning out favorable for the president, that I'm just saying it's not going to look good for Democrats for the remainder of 2026.
And that's what our party should concentrate on. I believe that's what you'll see should we take back the majority in 2027.
Do you think that Democrats, though, do have a brand problem given the low party approval ratings that you're getting across the board?
I think the numbers suggest that, but I think, polls are a point in time. And I think as we see what this administration is doing, what Republicans are allowing the administration to carry forward, people will put their trust in change, and that change will come from the Democratic Party, particularly when the U.S. House is taken by Democrats for the majority.
Listen, if Democrats win back the House come November, it won't be because people really believe they can do a great job and actually fix this country or do anything right when it comes to this country. No. It's going to be because of a few reasons. One, because enough Republicans did not come out and support because, hey, when your party's in charge and maybe things aren't going exactly how you want them, or you got other things that you're preoccupied with, a number of issues, you're not as energized as a base, you're not as energized as a party to go out and vote and support your party, versus when you're not in power in the executive branch and you feel like you want to see the people in charge, suffer. And versus, obviously, Democrats have a little bit more energy. They feel a little bit more desire to get out there and make sure that they vote, especially when you see the constant news being pushed about the president as far as negatively. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more of a push by them to go out and want to vote versus Republicans, who right now they're in charge. So that's going to be a challenge. And so the fact that that's historically what's happened, no matter who's been in the White House, it goes that way. People in charge, Republican, Democrats end up taking back the House in the midterms. Democrats running in the White House, Republicans end up taking back the House come midterms. That's just the way it goes. And so Democrats shouldn't toot their own horn too much if that's how it goes in November. And here's the kicker. Oh boy, here's the real news. If it doesn't go that way, where Republicans actually hold on to the majority, just hold on to it, let alone if they actually pick up new seats and gain more of a majority. That is the real news, where we really can talk about, hey, the Democrat Party is absolutely cooked. Their branding, what they represent, Americans, the American people are rejecting it. And that's something that Democrats need to be far more concerned about. The fact that if they lose, what that means historically and for their party. But we'll have to wait and see about that. But that's my thoughts in the update. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. As always, you enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know. Subscribe to stay locked in with future videos. And as always, until next time.